Good morning out there, Shiners. Good to see you this morning. Dean, Carol, Pookie. The Screamer. Where are you going to go? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Dean. There, Carol, I don't want you to be jealous or upset for being left out. I thought you were already a moderator. Is that what you ordered, Brenda? Fries, a burger, and what is that, a Coke or a Frosty? Say hi to Carol. Say hi, Carol. You say hi to Carol? No. I'm not going upstairs right now. It's way too early for bed. Hey, you're welcome, Carol. I don't know. I've been talking to Garrett about this recently. I'm not sure if it's a blessing or a curse. The wrench, I mean. Well, I know it's supposed to be a drink, Dean, but since is that how you treat my order? If I drive through if I come through the drive-through, you just tell them to give me any drink? What do you think about my rat tail hat there? Spooky hat. See his little tail? When we found him, he was the end of his tail was just about bare. Who knows what that's from besides Brenda? That's his rat tail. They suck on their tails when they get left too early and they're not really weaned and they don't, I guess maybe they're alone. They suck on their tails kind of like an infant human will suck on their thumb or something. And he'd sucked his poor little tail just about bare on the tip. Never saw him do that, though, after he came here to live with us. Of course, he was never hungry after that unless he chose to be. Oh, my God. I can't do that even at home, Dean. If my wife says, what would you like to drink? We've got, a Pepsi or an orange soda just two things. And I say, you pick it. I don't care either one. She just gets madder than hell. Well, that's what they deserve. If they don't want to say, then Coke it is. Now, for some people, that'd be fine. But for me, I just soon have something else. Okay, Dean, tell me this. Does anybody ever drive through and just tell you to pick something for lunch for them? And if so, what do you get? What do you give them? I thought I got a big old thumbprint right in the middle of my glasses. That's why I thought Dean looked fuzzy there. Carol, I'm still waiting for you to say you'll come on the show one morning and talk to us. Yeah, it's not like you're getting in front of. It's not like you're on Resort TV 1 and 3,000 people are on. It's just a few of us. It'd be good practice. Plus, you stand up every day in class. You should not be so shy. I guess he's decided to sit there for a while. Only thing is, I don't think he's sitting. I think he's standing. Well, maybe he is sitting now. Oh, my squirrels are back. Well, I'll have to take care of them later. Maybe one day. You'd be a big hit. I know you would. Oh, I think it'd be fun just to give them something. Like maybe liver and onions. They tell you to pick and give them, chicken livers or something, which I know you don't have, but that would be. You could say it on the microphone. So they could hear it. You could say, "Okay, I need an order of chicken livers, 3-piece cornbread muffins, and a diet Sprite." Well, Carol, just pretend like we're all kindergartners. I don't think Mark's out there this morning, baby. I think Mark's up in the high mountains. I believe he's hunting. She's talking about my friend Mark that lives in Wyoming. He's on a hunt this weekend with some veterans. He found out he takes veterans up to in the mountains and lets them hunt. Hi, Tina. Yes, that is spooky. You are absolutely correct. Good morning, ma'am. He's watching a squirrel now out the window. He would like to get out there and get after those squirrels. I think it'd be hilarious, Dean. I think you should. I know what I'd say if you told me chicken livers. They'll change their mind and pick it real quick, I'm thinking. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him, Poop. Oh, Lord, there's at least 3 out there now. There's one on the lower tree. There's 2 up here. We had chipmunk flying around earlier this morning, but I hadn't seen him back here. He was out front. Can you guys see Spook? He was glued to the. He's looking out the back. I have a sliding door out to a patio in my studio / den / office here, and Brenda put me some bird feeders out there to watch, and he's watching the squirrels right now. Of course, the birds drive them crazy too. They want to get after the birds. They sit there and chatter at the birds sometimes. Tina, I can't remember. No, you got just hounds. You don't have any cats. I can't remember who's got a cat in here. Okay, get down. Down he goes. I don't know if he's going to go to the door. He might have learned his lesson. He chased one a week or 2 ago. He chased some out of they were down in the patio, right, eye level with him. I think he bounced off the glass trying to get to him. So he may not. Well, Tina, I won't hold that against you, but soup? Dude, I don't know if I could do that or not. I have eaten fried ones, but, I'm not that crazy about them. My parents loved them. They liked all liver, except I never could get my mom to eat deer liver for some reason. I don't know. He might scream or might have left. He may. No cats here. We have a dog, and George comes by once. What kind of dog do you have, Dean? Dean, you know what? You should come on my show. We could talk chickens. We could talk Florida history. We could. I don't know. I'm sure. I bet you anything. We could talk about something. You keep feeding George out front, and he'll come by more often, unless I miss my guess. Brenda's been petting this cat that comes around out back. She named him Charlie. Well, they don't chase him at all, Tina. That's interesting. Dean, I'll send you a link if you want to come on. Are you prepared for? I'll tell you what. You get prepared and let me know. And I don't know what I'm doing. Hang on a minute. I'm lost as a ball in high weeds suddenly. Uh, oh no. Well, shoot, dang, I lost you there. I had you right pulled up. Brenda, do you have to look on Instagram today? Our doctor's making cheesecake, pumpkin cheesecake. For some reason, I'm thinking she would not approve that for us. Just guessing. So anyway, I was going to say Brenda's been talking to this cat that comes around, and then last night she found out that so have the neighbors. They think they think it can't. Well, they actually it has a pin, so they are in its neck a tag. What do you call that? Um. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it's got an ID pin in its back, whatever that's called. Hey, Don. Good morning in Texas. Oh, I see. So what you're saying is your dogs are just plumb lazy and they're not going to bother chasing. I would hope not, Tina. Tina, you're not a cheesecake fan. Pick me up out of the floor. Who's not a cheesecake fan? I guess you. You might be the first person I've ever met that doesn't like cheesecake. I'd be willing to bet I'm not the first person you've ever met that's not so sure about chicken liver soup, though. Chicken livers in soup. Excuse me. Okay, what did I miss here while I was messing? Okay, send me the link. I'll get my computer. I'm just on my phone. I sent it to you, Dean. Whenever you're ready, just pop in and I'll pop you on. We'll have company today. That'll be interesting. I haven't had company in a while. I can't get Carol to come on. Been trying and trying and trying. Tina, I could get Tina on too one day. I know she's not that camera shy. I've seen her on. She may be watching, but she can also chat with the best of them. Brenda, I don't know if you've looked out back, but we got one little squirrel that's just decided that the suet feeder is his friend. We put up a new suet feeder out back along with the bird feeders that I sort of squirrel proofed and put it up for the woodpeckers, but the squirrels decided there's peanuts in it, so he's a chip. A chip in its neck. That's what I'm trying to think of. Anyway, so they found out where it belongs. It lives back behind us in another subdivision, but they took it home and gave it back to him, and he was back at their house the next night or that night. So I guess they're not taking much care of him. So he was over there. He's been eating in their garage. So he's over there, and then he comes over here, and we haven't invited him in. They named him something different. What'd they name him, Brenda? Herschel or Jack or something? I can't remember. Pumpkin fudge. Now, that might not be bad. You may need to share that with us, Dawn. Yeah, people shouldn't have cats or dogs if they don't want them. Reggie, which is not, I don't know if Reggie's an appropriate name for a cat. Maybe a dog. I mean, cats are so uppity to begin with. I'm not sure if I was a cat, I'd come to Reggie. Charlie, I might. Charlie's sufficient. Charlie's decent. One of our first granddogs' name was Charlie. He was special. I may have to get up and pause this thing and get out there and spray the squirrel. I don't like him eating all my suet feeder. See, Brenda, this is why you need to be here. Oh, so you can help me remember cats' names, even stray cats. I wonder if they can de-chip a cat. Or I wonder if they can change the information on the chip. Anybody know? I mean, if we took him in and adopted him, I'd want to change that chip. I wouldn't want people thinking he was stolen or belonged, somewhere else. Not that we're going to be taking him in. Tina, well, I appreciate that. It means a lot. Brenda, yes, my tooth is hurting a little bit. It just has started, I guess, after I ate a bite. Now we got a squirrel fight. One squirrel ran the other one off the feeder. That's, if I didn't know they were just wanting more. Hey, Dave, good morning, sir. How is Georgia or wherever you are today? Yeah, he might not, Brenda. You're right. He might be strictly outside cat, but you know how me and outside cats are. Barn cats and farm cats, I kind of get. I mean, I was on farms and stuff enough to know, they can serve a purpose there, and they've got plenty of stuff to eat. But I don't know. Cats that go outside, well, me and feral cats have a love-hate relationship. Yeah, we were getting some rain a little while ago. That's why I'm soggy bear today, but it's quit here. I think, and I believe it's supposed to be going on through. And in fact, you guys should be clearing out too. I thought it was raining pretty good when I first got up at about 7. In fact, it was dark as the pits of Hades outside. I didn't believe my watch was right at first because it just looked more like 5 or 6 in the morning here. Yeah, I think it has, Brenda. I think it's gonna be all right. Did you want to tell them about your great adventure yesterday, Brenda? South Georgia for sunshine. Now, what part of South Georgia, Dave? Yes, they do, Tina. I love cats, but I don't like outside. I don't like. God, I hate to say that. I know I'll get hate mail for that. Well, maybe not this group because there's not a lot of us here, but I would. But feral cats and honestly, cats that are in the house but go out are such natural born killers. They wreak havoc on the native population. If you've got native species like ground squirrel, chipmunks we have here, or although I'd give them a few gray squirrels if they'd take them out, but they're just native species that are surviving in an already disturbed and intermingled habitat here with people. And what we've got is, disturbed habitat with houses, older subdivisions, so we've got bigger trees. And then behind us, we've got a space of a copse of trees that runs, that might not even be a copse. It's more like a lane that runs all the way up along the back of this subdivision and separates it from the others. So in that tree line there is a great place for, certain native species. And cats just are hell on that. And it's just so hard to convince some people that domestic cats do not belong in that environment. Like I said, farm cats, I get. Barn cats, I get. I I could probably live with that. I grew up with that. I mean, I grew up with outside cats. My opinion of cats changed as I grew older and figured out how many squirrels or how many chipmunks and little birds they were bringing to the front door every morning. Because it's amazing. They've run some studies that some house cats that go out, say, for part of a day, kill as many as 30, 40 small mammals or small animals a month. That's what they do, and they can't help it. I don't blame them. That's their natural tendency. They're just hunters by birth. So I just, if you're going to domesticate an animal like a cat, you probably need to expect to live with it indoors. Because, okay, Dave, tell us something about Wild Adventures theme park. Is that a bush park, or is that and where is that in South? When you say South Georgia, well, I mean, I meant what town? I mean, is that near Valdosta or? Okay, Dean. We might talk about the wild chickens of that town you live in, and I can't pronounce right now. My mind's I think my mind's on hiatus this morning. Might be this toothache. I got a tooth that's broken, and it's in Valdosta. Okay, well, that's about what I figured. That's a pretty good drive from you guys, though. I mean, that's plumb down past Tifton, the cleanest town in America. Okay, so now you have me curious. What defines a copse tree? Oh, well, I don't know. I'm not going to say I know the true definition of copse, but I will look it up. To me, a copse of trees is just a small stand of trees, and that's how Webster defines it too. Just a small stand of trees. So, it's not probably any different than a wooded area or patch of woods behind your house. But copse is, I would call. To me, if I said I'm going back in the woods, I'd probably think of woods as more of a few acres, whereas a copse would probably just be a stand of trees. Could be a group of trees out in the middle of a field, for that matter. Uh-oh, my nose is itching. That mean I'm going to have company? It must mean Dean's on the way. So anyway, Tina, so I look at this patch here, and I'm going to get all wildlife and professional. I'd probably say it's a linear wooded area that is separating these two open areas of habitat. So that creates an edge on both sides, which animals tend to love. Birds tend to like edges. Deer like edges. We have actually had some turkeys in this neighborhood, which is wild. I've not seen a deer here yet, I don't think. But this group of trees behind me we let ours grow out we don't keep ours cut way back to the fence, so we actually leave it that way on purpose for habitat. We like to see the birds and stuff in it, and so we let it grow up a bit. Brenda has planted wildflowers back there, stuff that'll grow under the trees. That's kind of a neat experiment. But I would kind of call that a copse. I mean, it could be. I could call it something else, but that's the term that came to mind. Does that explain it, kind of? Now, I don't know about a wood park. That's a northern park. I've seen the word park used with other things in the north, like deer park. I've heard of a deer park. Do you guys have that, or deer? What else do they call it? But in the wintertime up north, when it snows, or where there's more snow and it's cold, deer tend to sort of herd up in an area. And I believe I've heard that referred to as a deer park. So I don't know what a wood park might be. I mean, to me, a wooded park sounds like it's something the city or county maintains that, people can go picnic. Most likely has a mowed lower sublevel. I got something on the porch. I hate to say it this way, but squirrel. I just seeing something running across the porch. I think it's probably a chipmunk. It doesn't make sense, but we're kind of excited about chipmunks right now because we just haven't really had them here. So we've lived here quite a few years now, and we haven't. Oh, well, that makes sense. I know where there's a deer field not too far from here, and there were a lot of deer up there at one time. But do you know? I don't know. I don't know if Ray hunts, but I've heard of deer parks up north in the wintertime. I've read and heard from other people that have lived further north that deer sometimes will herd up in these deer parks in the wintertime, and they'll actually eat the browse so bad that they start to starve before they actually move out. The weather breaks and they get scattered again because they come to the same areas habitually. And if you ever noticed, but you can tell where deer have been a lot because they're usually the browse, the leaves and small twigs and stuff don't start till several feet off the ground. A lot of times that's because of deer. They're eating everything below that. Anything they can't reach standing up on their hind legs. Hey, Amy, good morning, ma'am. You've been a busy bee lately. Maybe you're always that busy, but I've just seen more of your stuff online lately than I remember. Maybe it's just been a little while. Dave, if you hadn't left yet, Valdosta is a good place to get pecans too. Do you ever get pecans down there? I think this is the last year, but when I went to work at TVA, we had a fellow that worked in my office. His wife was part of some sorority in college, and she still, I guess, worked as an advisor or something. But they sold pecans every year to raise money, and these pecans were fresh picked and cracked out of South Georgia, and I can't remember exactly the amount of time, but supposedly they're picked, cracked, broken, gotten out, whatever how they do it, and packaged up and shipped out for this sale fresh. And they have been very fresh ever since we started buying them. Good morning, Mike. Say hi to Val. And I'm making an assumption there. So this is the last year that she actually passed away a couple of years ago, and her husband has been maintaining the connection between him, and he's retired now, but he's maintained the connection between some of us that work at TVA and these really good fresh pecans. And they're man, they're just like cracking them open. And they are some of the best pecans I've ever had. And I think they come out of Valdosta, pretty sure, or somewhere down in that area. There's a lot of pecans down there, I know. How's Mike this morning? Always a pleasure to see you, my friend. I should have you on one Saturday if you feel. Oh, there's Dean. Okay, we got a guest this morning, folks. Let's bring him in. Good morning, Dean.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good.
Making Tim itchy. Well, that's funny. Welcome.
I can change my name back here.
No, I don't. I like it.
Okay.
It's hilarious. Passover pair of Georgia pecans here to go on a trip. They were fantastic. They are. I mean, you can get pecans fresh from, reasonably fresh off the trees. They're so much better than the ones you normally buy in a grocery store, which probably aren't all that old either. But Man, I could eat a bag full of these things. They're just that good. But I think this is the last year that this guy's going to deal with them. So we won't have them again probably unless we find another source. I can't remember what sorority it is that she did this for. So how's Dean this morning?
I'm good.
So if you haven't seen George,
I saw George on Wednesday. I think Wednesday or Thursday.
maybe that's the day he comes through your part of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how many neighborhoods he has.
He's a traveling man.
He's a traveling man.
How many roosters do you see? I mean, are there lots of chickens or just a few?
It's just George in our neighborhood, but
Really?
they're like all over the rest of the town.
And so that town's name again?
Oviedo.
Oviedo. Well, I don't know what the deal is with chickens. Oviedo. But see, I could read that and come up with several different spellings to pronounce.
Yeah.
Biography
Some
of a
people
town.
call it like Oviedo or
Oviedo.
one guy I gave the name to over the phone or somewhere. He like put it in as Ovidio.
That works too. It's pretty close anyway.
But anyway, this is a book I actually I found it at Goodwill.
Oh, cool.
And it was only 99 cents, but it was such a find because it's an actual it's a history of the town, and I haven't read it in a few years, but I just pulled it out this morning. But it's got a whole history of the town and the area.
Did it say anything about loose chickens?
I don't know, but I looked that up not long ago. There was a farmer back in the 60s that I forget the actual let me look that up.
While you're looking that up, Dean. Hey, good morning, Shelley Starwalker. What a pleasure, ma'am. I was hoping you'd pop in. I want to have you on one morning too. I want to pick your brain and talk about photography. I used to enjoy photography a lot, but I swear I believe you're what would be the correct word? A protege? No. You're very good for someone who's. I think you told me once you hadn't been in it very long. You've got quite the eye for composition. I'm impressed. Your photographs are really good, and I know some of that's easier with cameras these days. But if you can't get the composition right, the camera can't fix that. Oh, you're welcome, Shelley. I'm sincere about that too. I've been shooting pictures a long time, and yours are as good as I've seen, really. I mean, that's Mike saying here. Oh. Let's see if I can do this way. Can I? Yeah. That's what I was thinking, Mike, that Key West had a lot of chickens loose too. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a Florida thing to have certain things running loose.
Yeah, I've heard there's
roosters fight in the streets. And I say, I don't doubt that. I've seen roosters fight too, not in a rooster fight. I've never gone to a cockfight, but I have seen roosters get into it just in the barnyard because they're very protective of their covey. And I've wondered about that too. But I've heard that somebody told me just the other day that they thought that a lot of the chickens in Key West were scattered from hurricanes and that sort of thing. So Brenda, I think they were there, and they're just now they're loose, and it's kind of become a, I don't know if I want to say a tourist attraction, but I've seen a lot of Instagram and places and YouTube, not YouTube so much, but Facebook, where people go there and talk about the chickens. And I've actually seen them on TV doing little travel bits about Key West and talk about chickens. So there must be a thing down there. Shelly, my daughter has chickens. They're all cooped up too, except when she lets them out to, eat bugs out of the yard or something. But then they put them back in the coop. They don't run free. What did you find out, Dean?
Okay, so here's an article from the local bank, Citizens Bank of Florida. They have a few branches in my area, so they're truly local. I don't know when this article was written, but yeah, it doesn't say exactly when it was written, but anyway, it's the history of the chickens.
Oh, okay.
So here we go. The history of Oviedo's chickens goes back to 1875, when settlers began to appear on the south shore of Lake Jessup at a settlement known as Solery's Wharf. And with the settlers came the beginning of the fowl that we now know as Oviedo's chickens. A few settled at Solery's Wharf, and a few more settled at White's Wharf, now known as Hiley's Fish Camp. Others gradually moved inland to a small village that was later to become known as Oviedo. The settlers grew a variety of crops, including cotton, sugar, citrus, and vegetables. Most of the settlers also had a variety of stock, such as horses, pigs, cows, and of course, our infamous Oviedo chickens. Some settlers were attracted to Lake Charm, a very small lake that was not far from Lake Jessup. So Lake Charm is, like I said, is a very small lake. It's actually right here in Oviedo. And the Lake Jessup is like just to our north, kind of between us and where Sanford is, if anyone knows where Sanford is. So Lake Charm is like just...
Oviedo is south of Orlando and south of...
Oviedo is northwest.
Of Orlando?
Of Orlando, yeah. Where am I? Okay. So some settlers were attracted to Lake Charm, a very small lake that was not far from Lake Jessup, and soon others were invited to enjoy the lake's charm. These visitors believed that the beauty and charm of the lake helped to bring them back to health. Oh, hold on. Oh, these visitors, believing that the beauty and charm of the lake helped to bring them back to health, is said to have given Lake Charm its name, and the settlement that sprung up around it was named Oviedo by Andrew Allen Sr. I had no idea who that is. In recent years...
He's got named the town.
Yeah. In recent years, Oviedo has grown by leaps and bounds, but despite its growth, the city and its residents have tried to keep its small town aura. With the growth of Oviedo accelerating, new housing developments appearing, new schools being built, and shopping centers being erected, it has been difficult to not let the easy style of country living slip away. Today's population of over 30 chickens in and around the Oviedo Shopping Center in historic downtown Oviedo can be attributed to the merchants and residents of the downtown area. It was around 1994 when one lone chicken appeared in the parking lot of Land Tech Surveying and Mapping Corp. At 77 Geneva Drive, with Rick Burns, CEO of Land Tech, being a 1975 transplant from a farm nestled in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in southeast Kentucky, and his crew at Land Tech being lovers of birds and fowl. It seemed that feeding the chickens was the appropriate thing to do. To everyone's surprise, within a few weeks, 13 new baby chicks and their mother emerged from the hedges that surround the building of Land Tech. It wasn't until a few days later that a proud rooster showed up to claim responsibility of the new family of chickens. Someone didn't edit this right. These few chickens have evolved into today's population. While livestock and chickens roaming the streets of Oviedo were most surely a common sight in the years past, the chickens of today are not what the newcomers to Oviedo expect to see. Every day that goes by, several people, children and adults alike, stop to see or feed the chickens, some of which have never seen chickens up close and personal. The presence of our chickens together with the rooster crowing throughout the day have helped us hold on to our easy style of country living and add to the aura and charm that Oviedo is famous for.
Chickens. Who would have thunk it? That's funny. I mean, that's interesting too. It's chickens of all things. But you know what? That's a good point, because there are a lot of people. If you grow up like me in the country and you kind of are surrounded by country and farms and things like that, then it seems odd. But I can remember going, when I lived in Florida in the 70s, I had 2 or 3 classmates who were from New Jersey and New York City proper. A couple of them never drove a car, didn't own a car, didn't drive, which I thought was wild too, because of course most of us started driving as soon as we were able, 16 or 14 or whatever we had to be at the time. You could get a hardship license at 14 in Tennessee. But I'll never forget this one guy. He was another classmate was from Tidewater area, Virginia, because I'll never forget that Tidewater accent. And he took him home for Christmas or Thanksgiving one year. And as they were driving through, they got off the interstates and stuff, and were driving down some country roads. He got all excited, and he started pointing. He said, "What are those?" He said, "Those are mailboxes on sticks." He said, "What is that? Who does that?" And he'd never seen a mailbox on a post. I guess you either pick it up at the post office or have it delivered, in a mail slot or something on your door, and where he was from in New York. But he didn't know the difference between a rooster and a hen. And this guy took him on a country tour while he had him to explain cows and bulls and that sort of thing. But it was funny. But there are people who've never seen live, outside of a dog or a cat. They may never have seen livestock or wild animals. Those chickens are probably feral by now. I mean, but I don't know if I consider them live or wildlife. So I still say I would still call them livestock, but that's interesting. Do the others think? I mean, do you see cows walking down? They talk like you see livestock out. Do you?
Not nowadays. I mean, maybe
then.
Maybe back in the 70s.
Yeah, that'd make more sense.
They would have probably still had a lot of. There used to be a railroad that came through here years ago. They made that into a bike trail. a few years or several years back, actually. They made that into the train, old train tracks. They just made that into a bike trail. Um, um, but yeah, the chickens are really the only like animal other than, like the squirrels. We have a lot of squirrels around. Chickens are really the only like animal that kind of roams. Well, aside from like some cats. Well, they used to roam. We don't have a lot of neighborhood cats anymore, but we used to have several.
Mike, where's Val from? Maybe maybe where she comes from. Cows are super rare, but you just never know about these things. That's true, Don. I mean, I would think that's odd too. I mean, we do. I mean, by we, I mean collectively, folks that didn't grow up in towns. But I think that's where I think that we is getting smaller and smaller. It's like I've said on here before, I believe on this show. My generation at least, or maybe the one just after us, whatever that is. I mean, I'm a tail end of the boomers. That's at least a generation, I guess. But anyway, we were probably the last ones to know about outhouses, and I'm not making fun. I'm serious about that. Was the only facility certain my relatives had when I was growing up, pumping water, getting water out of a well or getting it out of a spring. I mean, I've carried buckets of water into my grandmother's house to wash dishes and stuff in, and probably take baths. I don't remember taking baths at her house, but I did take baths in a big galvanized tub at my cousins, my mom's side of the family. That's how we did it, at least once a week. And that was probably true at the time. We were kids, so I probably didn't want one more than that. But I'll never forget, because they had a round tub and then they got a big oval shaped tub, and that was big enough for two of us when we were kids anyway. And if it was good weather, we'd put it outside and take a bath on the front lawn, which was pretty worn down. Wasn't much grass that I recall. But and if it was cold in the wintertime, they had it downstairs in the dugout cellar, which was dirt. But they'd put pallets down and set the tub on top of the pallet, so you wouldn't be in mud or dirt. And that's where we'd go take a bath in the wintertime. Yeah, Tina, you're closer enough to my age that you probably remember those sort of things. You would like to oh, wait a minute, I'm losing out on a conversation here. I see Shelley would like to have a donkey, goats, and a cow. I like baby goats. I'm not sure I like them when they grow up, but boy, when they're little, they sure are cute. I'll have to admit that. Hey, Kay, good morning. You're never late. You're always welcome, and you're not late. You just didn't get here at the same time everybody else did. Grab a cup and have a seat. We're talking cows, chickens, and whatever else pops up here. We just went through the history of the Oviedo chickens in Florida, and Mike brought up the fact that chickens in Key West is a thing, which I had always heard too. And I wonder if anybody ever catches those chickens for dinner. Just curious. Maybe not the ones in Oviedo, but I wonder if they do in other places. But
Well, the ones in Oviedo, I know a couple years ago, or not too long ago, they kind of started disappearing, and there was a few there was a few theories on that. They thought there was like some wild either hawks or foxes or coyotes or something in the area that might have made their way in the area to like eat them. They also suggested maybe there was people trying to eat them or taking them. But a couple years ago, there was also stories of black bears that come into the area, so that's a possibility too. But
There's a possibility of panthers too. I mean,
yeah,
there are some. I don't know if there's any in that area, but they're just like other species now. They've adapted and they've moved into some areas. I think Florida panthers are still very rare, but bobcats are a possibility. Coyotes is definitely a possibility just about anywhere in this part of the country anymore. But which brings me up to a point, Shelley. I was going to say, you said something about a donkey. You know, a lot of people that I've seen up this way who have cattle or who have sheep and have been concerned about coyotes taking young calves, usually newborns and small lambs, have gotten donkeys as guard animals. Apparently, donkeys have this inherent dislike for coyotes, probably a natural bred thing, and it may depend on where the donkey's from. But apparently, and I have seen this kind of in action. My cousin's husband bought one to put in with their cattle because they were starting to have some problems with coyotes, and this donkey would sound the alarm if a coyote got in the field, and he would go after it and literally chase them away. So you know they have another useful purpose besides being kind of cute. I've been learning about mules. I've been reading a book this week, and it's talking, or last week or so, and it's been talking a lot about how they raised and bred mules, and not so much in Florida, but in Tennessee and Virginia and Kentucky. And I've learned so much. I didn't know there was such a hierarchy with mule breeders. I didn't know this either, and TV does this to us in the movies. But, you know, you always see horses pulling wagons and covered wagons, and usually, not always, but usually, there. Oh, it's a bird. I have a towhee, eastern towhee, in the digging through the leaves out here. Wagon trains and stagecoaches and all that kind of thing. But truth is, most of the time they use mules out west. But mules were a much better animal for a draft, pain in the bum. It depends on how you treat them, Shelley. They're just really intelligent, and they can be set in their ways. And Uncle Jesse, that's funny. But mules are much more sure-footed. They tend to be stronger, have more endurance than a horse. I'm talking about big, draft, what they call draft mules. They can see their back feet, which is something horses cannot do. And that's because of the shape of their eyeball and where it's located on their head. So that's why they use them in the Grand Canyon. I don't know if you know that or not, but you can take a trail ride. If you take a trail ride in the Grand Canyon, it's going to be on a donkey, unless you, I don't know if they let you take your horses down there or not, but I know you can ride to the bottom of the canyon on donkeys, and that's why they use donkeys. Is they're much more sure-footed, less likely to fall, and most of the time, apparently, when they're really being stubborn, it's because there's something there that they either are not familiar with or are afraid of. They said this story I'm reading is about the Oregon Trail, and apparently mules don't like to cross water. Horses, you can kind of coax a horse into water and he'll go on across, but a donkey won't cross water until he knows what it is. If he's never seen a stream before, apparently they'll bow up and won't go, and so you have to kind of coax them into the water. And then once you get them in and they figure out it's okay, then they'll cross. After that, they're fine. But they're smart enough to figure those kinds of things out. They're actually pretty fascinating. And the history of them, I never knew this, but George Washington played a huge role in the development of mules in this country. And when I say development, I mean most people probably know this. There's most of the mules out there are crosses between a mule and a horse, or what they call a mammoth jack, which is a much larger donkey species than the ones you see out in the field. You usually see the small ones. And George Washington, after he became president, and and after the revolution, he sort of became a hero around the world. People knew him around the world. So, King of Spain, the King of France at that time, both of them sent General Lafayette that fought with the Washington that was French. They sent donkeys over here, or Mammoth Jack stock over here, studs to breed and create donkeys. And Washington helped develop a lot of those breeds, just like he's given credit for developing the American Foxhound as a breed. George Washington did. So anyway, and it just a lot of moi finds that sort of thing interesting. I've been reading this book, learning a lot about donkeys. The travelers west, the Oregon Trail travelers, either used donkeys or oxen, and oxen were slow, but they were tough. And the reason they use donkeys is donkeys can go without food longer if they have to. Horses, if they work all day, they need a lot of food in the evenings to recoup. Apparently, donkeys don't need that. They can get by on much smaller amount of, or mules, just much smaller amount of food and water than a horse. So they became the animal for that kind of work. I didn't know this either. The Army had donkeys or mules. I knew the Army had mules right up into the Second World War. They actually reactivated a mule brigade during Afghanistan so they could take them over there and use them as pack animals in the mountains in Afghanistan. So there's a whole group of Marines or U.S. soldiers, or I guess it's Army Rangers or what, that actually train and work with mules in Georgia and North Carolina, I believe they said. Little thing you might not have known there from Timbo here this morning from the Bear. He's telling you all kinds of something you can maybe win a beer with or something at a bar. I don't know.
I didn't know all that. I was familiar with the Grand Canyon riding that you could do, but all that other stuff I didn't know.
Okay, wait a minute. I don't want to segue too far off, but I see some discussion about a barbecue here. I don't know if they're barbecuing your chicken, Oviedo chickens, or if they're eating something else.
Not George.
Okay, has chickens in her yard.
Oh,
I tell you what, if I had chickens in my yard, I'd be putting out some nest boxes just to see if I couldn't attract some hens, because I'd love to have some fresh eggs in the backyard. That'd be cool, especially if I didn't even have to feed the chickens. Shelly, that's interesting because I didn't know growing up there's such a thing as a riding mule, and apparently there are Tennessee walking mules that are actually bred with walking horse mares, and they create saddle mules that are supposed to be really good to ride. Again, I think it's all about if you know how to work the animal. They're smarter than a horse, they say. I mean, I can't prove that. I guess scientific. I don't know. Maybe it has been proven, but like I said, they can see more. They react more. They have more. They think more apparently. So it makes them a lot harder to ride. And I've left Shelly up there forever. And friend of mine's he's worked with mules out west. He's Mark, my friend that's maybe going to be on the show soon, and reconnected with a couple of weeks ago. Mark worked with he's ridden mules out west, and he's worked with them with the agency, and he never bought one. I thought he'd bought a saddle mule, but he's got Morgan horses instead that he rides. And but he's got some mules, and he and his son-in-law I think his son-in-law has a Mammoth Jack, so they're thinking about breeding him to maybe to a Morgan mare and seeing what kind of mule they can come up with. If you know horses, Morgan is also an American breed. I believe it came out of the Northeast, Massachusetts or New York, somewhere up that way. Oh, donkey races at the fair, Shelley, tend to be pretty crazy. Some of those donkeys are not saddle broke, and I've seen donkey races too. It seems like we had a donkey race thing at our high school once. They had rubber shoes on, actually brought them in the gym, and it was donkey basketball. That's what it was. They play donkey basketball down here sometimes. you have to shoot the basketball from the back of the donkeys. It can be quite hilarious. No, but Tennessee walkers. Yes, Shelley. I had an uncle that was into walking horses, and if you're into walking horses, Tennessee is the place you got to be, so to speak. And there's a town called Shelbyville or Shebville, as the locals call it, that is famous for their the grand celebration or something they call it every year, where they bring in all the walking horses to show, and that's where they crown the grand champion. It's sort of like a Westminster dog show, and my uncle used to go to that every year way back when I was a lot younger. He went and raised. He had some walkers, but they used to show horses, just regular horses. My cousins rode horses and horse shows and things, or at least a couple of them did. But he got into. Oh, yes, Brenda's. I'm reading a book called The Oregon Trail. It's really, I don't have a copy. I actually gave the copy. My friend Philip is an enabler, and he's the guy that got me hooked on really good coffee. I'm talking years ago, but he got me started grinding my own coffee. But he also brings me books sometimes. So he brought the Oregon Trail up here because he thought I would like it. And it was written by a guy named Rinker Buck, who had written a book that we both read many years ago called Flight of Passage, where Rinker Buck was about 16, and I think he had a brother 17 or 18, and they flew across country in a Piper Cub. At that time, I think they were probably the youngest pair to ever fly a transcontinental flight. And but he wrote a book about it, and it was really good. So this book came out about the Oregon Trail, and Rinker decided he needed to take a slow ride across America. So he found out that a lot of the Oregon Trail is still usable, still there. And you can they've created a linear park, almost preserve, where they're actually protecting what's left of the Oregon Trail. And some places, interstates and things have already paved it over, but there's several hundred miles of it that you can still literally drive in the ruts that were created by wagons that went down to Oregon. So he redid that, and so that's where I'm reading. That's what got me on the mules. I've been reading about mules because that's what they're using. Hitchhiking bones. Back in the day, Morgans were used to haul cut timber inside of the mountain. Yeah, they are. And the thing about Morgans was that I recall is they're also smaller than a lot of other draft animals. So they were good riding horses and good working horses, is what I remember. Disney actually made a movie about the Morgan horse. It was called Mr. Morgan Had a Horse, or Mr. Morgan and His Horse. About the guy that supposedly bred the first Morgan horse and proved its worth, and eventually created the breed that we also claim is. I don't disagree with you, Shelley. I think horses are pretty amazing too. I mean, and I'll have to admit the wild horses out west are beautiful in their own right. They can also be a problem on certain habitats, but they're still, I mean, what's more American than a wild horse? I mean, Justin Morgan Had a Horse. That's right, Carol. That's on the Disney Channel now, by the way. If you've never seen it, I recommend it. That was one of my favorites when I was much younger. I actually started it the other night and hadn't finished it yet. So, I mean, I know how it ends, but still. Let's see what else I've missed here. My uncle used to raise that. Oh, Shelley, that's cool. I had a friend of mine that had an Appaloosa stud, and Appaloosas are also Native American. Well, it's a Native American breed also, and it was bred by Native Americans out in the Northwest country. The Shoshone, I believe, are the tribe that was given credit for creating the Appaloosa horse. Appaloosas were a big deal with them, and as Appaloosas got spread around the country, they all basically came from that breeding stock. Yes, Brenda. I will tell that story. You can either tell that story and I'll agree with it, or I'll tell it, whichever you want. See, Brenda loves horses too. Brenda wanted to be a veterinarian many years ago, but she decided to go riding. Nez Perce. That's right, Shelley. The Nez Perce, or per se. I don't depends on where you're from, but I always call them Nez Perce. You know what that means? Cut nose or pierce nose. It was something they did. Nez Perce, and that was what's the chief's name, Shelley? Do you remember? The one that said, "I will fight no more forever." Joseph, Chief Joseph, was one of the last Western tribes to surrender, and I guess if you want to say it, sign a treaty. But he finally gave up and said, "I will fight no more forever." They'd whittled the Nez Perce down to where they were almost nothing. I mean, they were relentlessly chasing them. And yes, Brenda's very allergic. I came home from work one night, and she came out of the bathroom or the bedroom and looked at me, and her eyes looked like one of those bubble-eyed goldfish.
Ooh.
Popped out of her head, scared the hell out of me. And it was the horse allergies that had gotten into her system. And Chief Joseph, yes, I think that's right, Shelley. Is that what I said, or did I say something else? But Chief Joseph is the one that said that, and that tribe's the one that was responsible for the creation of creation. They raised the Appaloosas. I think Appaloosas are neat. Really cool horses. If you don't know an Appaloosa, usually on an Appaloosa will be bay or brown colored, and the rump will be white a lot of times with spots on it, and black spots. And then there's also what they call leopard apps, which are mostly white with black spots all over them. There were a few of those scattered out there too. I think there's supposedly a drawing of Crazy Horse riding a leopard app, but there's never been I don't think there's ever been a proven drawing, photograph, or painting of Crazy Horse. He was one of the few that didn't get nobody, took a picture. Spotted rump blankets. That's a good way to put it, Shelley. That's probably what they call it. I've got a picture on my phone now. I don't know if I told you guys this or not. Oh, I unlocked it. It's on my lock screen. I can probably show you the picture though. Could you call me when you get the? Well, I get some of the craziest messages lately. This saddle, I don't know if you can see that at all or not. The lights.
Kind of. Yeah, I can kind of.
Yeah, the lights on it. But my buddy Mark made that saddle.
Oh.
And that is a copy of a saddle known as the Charlie Russell saddle. And I don't know how some of you, I bet Shelley knows. Maybe some others besides Shelley know. Sorry if I call you Shelley, because I worked with a Shelley for years who spelled her name just almost like yours, but with a C. So I may call you Shelley. Just bear with me. But okay, what was I saying? Oh, the saddle, Charlie Russell. Charlie Russell was a famous Western artist of America. A lot of people know who Frederick Remington was. He did a lot of art and sculptures and things like that. Charlie Russell, though, he kind of lived and stayed out there once he got to Montana. Remington, I think, he was just traveling through, and he painted a lot of things in the West. Charlie Russell primarily concentrated on the people, the Native Americans and the cowboys and that sort of thing. And he's very popular out there. I'd like to have a Charlie Russell. I actually have a Charlie Russell back on my screen, on my computer screens as the background. Hey, John, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're having a good Saturday. It may be raining up your way, though, or will be soon. But anyway, so this saddle is a friend of his, for whatever reason, wanted a Charlie Russell replica made, so he made him one. He got pictures. The original Charlie Russell saddle is up in museum, either probably in Montana, because that's where he was mostly around. And Mark got pictures, and I get maybe some drawings. I'm not sure. He may have actually traveled up there to see the saddle, but he built him I would say a pretty darn close replica of that saddle. And since then, I think he's built 28 or 30 more saddles. So that was he's gotten pretty good at it. He doesn't have a website yet or anything. I'm trying to talk him into putting his saddles online, but I don't know how much business he actually wants. He probably doesn't want more than he can handle, and he does it for fun too. So he probably, knowing him, he probably doesn't want to get too busy. But man, he does good work. It's amazing. Raining off and on in Michigan. Maybe yours will blow through too. Is it getting cold up there, Shelley? We're supposed to get, after this blows through today. We're supposed to start cooling down now. We'll see if it lasts. I don't know if we've had Indian summer yet, but it's supposed to be in the 40s tonight and the rest of the week, but sunny. So I'm looking forward to that part. Yes, he does, Brenda. He does a lot of gorgeous stuff. I mean, he's also making, again, I don't think I'm having problems with transferring photographs from my phone to my computer lately. It was doing it automatically. I don't know if I can pull these up. He sent me a couple of pictures. Mark's always done beading and saddle work, leather work. He does Indian or Native American type beading, and cannot connect. Pooh. And Brenda has too. Brenda's actually done some really nice bead work. She hasn't done it in a long time. She made me a beautiful gun case that fits over like a muzzle loading rifle or frontier type rifle that's made out of white deer skin and or elk skin. Might be elk. And it's beaded down the length of it. It's after another pattern, and here's the sad part. We can't find it. It's gone missing. Not sure if somebody walked off with it or if it's just we got it in a box somewhere. But anyway, she's done some really nice bead work. But Mark does some amazing stuff, both with beads and porcupine quills. He's done some quill work, which is a Native American thing. But he's made some gorgeous what the Plains Indians referred to as a pop bag. It's usually a leather bag about 12, 14 inches long and 6 or 8 inches wide. And they could literally carry their tobacco in it, and maybe their pipe would fit down in it. And it's sort of everybody didn't have a pipe bag because I guess they couldn't afford the pipe, or they didn't have one or whatever. But, native pipe tends to be hand carved longer. Usually the bowl itself is made out of catlinite, which is a red stone. Some people call it pipe stone. And I believe catlinite only comes from one place, and it's either Minnesota or Michigan. Somewhere in that area up there is the only deposits of catlinite in this country. You can carve it. It's not soft as soapstone, but not as hard as limestone or something like that. So you can actually make it very sacred amongst most Indian tribes. Oh, you did, Shelley. That's interesting. Part of it, huh? We have elk here now. They've reintroduced them. In the areas where they've put them, they're doing really well. The Smoky Mountains actually has a herd that stays mostly high on the North Carolina side. I've seen a few of them. Not heard them call yet. I really need to go up there this time of year when they're calling. I think bugle calls would be amazing to hear in the east again. I mean, we went a long time without them. I helped release some a few years ago in an area right between Kentucky and Tennessee, which was pretty exciting just to be there. Shelley, you'll have to show us some of your beadwork sometime. I'd love to see it. Dean, you got any big plans for the rest of I guess you got to work tomorrow, though, right?
Yeah, I work tomorrow.
Did you get an annual pass?
Not yet. I'm still saving. I'm planning to buy it like in January. early January probably. That way I can go a few times before summer hits.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Because I'm not going after like early May, mid-May at the latest. I'll take probably till about this time next year, you know.
Let it cool off a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go down and I think we went one time, just Brenda and I went maybe in August. Might have been for her birthday. Not sure about that, but oh my Lord, was it hot. But we used to go down right at the end of May, first week of June, and it was pretty warm, but it wasn't always terrible. And we that was before all the schools had let out. And we usually could get down and kind of beat the crowds. Now that I don't know if there's any such thing as that now, but I always liked
Not
to go
really.
when it used to get cool. I mean, March and then November we would go. We would try to wait till they put out Christmas stuff and then go down, but not on the holiday itself. And then we actually did go down a few times for Christmas, but we knew what to expect as far as crowds and things went. So it wasn't a big deal to us if we couldn't do everything. We were kind of an old hat in that regard.
Yeah, I haven't actually been there on any holiday. Well, except for my birthday. I went once on my birthday.
When is that? What month?
April.
April.
Yeah. That was the year that was 2009. Disney was doing free admission on your birthday. So I went and took advantage of that. And I actually upgraded my free day to an annual pass.
Oh, okay.
That day. So because I had a free day, Disney applied the cost of the day. They just deducted that from the cost of the annual pass.
Cool. That's
So,
like a double coupon there.
yeah. So that was a fun year.
Well, that's cool. That is cool. We used to get an annual pass. I mean, we live in Tennessee, but an annual pass made it possible for us to go to Disney actually more than a couple 3 times a year, because back then we were getting a pretty good discount on things if you planned it right, and if you watched for the discounts to be advertised within that annual pass group or whatever, that discount. But we also belonged back then. We also belonged, or before that, really, to like there was a Disney Travel Club, and I can't remember exactly what it was called, but a lot of businesses had it, and if you were an employee, you could get discounts and things like that. We actually started going back with our kids on that, doing that from that process, and then eventually led to annual passes. We get at least one, but Brenda and I both usually got one. We'd pay for the kids outright when we'd go, but we had a pass so we could go down once they were big enough to either leave home or they were already gone, and she and I could go by ourselves, which a lot of people we knew couldn't figure out back then. Adulting at Disney wasn't a thing yet, or didn't seem to be. Oh.
Yeah, but that was the year I think my love for turkey legs really started. The seeds were planted that year. And then, a few years ago is when I realized that I really liked them. And then, of course, I guess it was before last year, I actually took on the turkey legster name.
Keep talking. I was looking for something.
I want to say it was... Oh gosh, I should write these things down when they happen. But
yeah, you should, because that's what I learned that lesson, and I'm much older than you, and I've forgotten so much.
I think it was at least late, maybe a full year ago. Anyway,
Whoops. About jerked my microphone out of my hand or off the desk. I found some pictures. I was looking. I saw Brenda talking to Shelly about her fabric room, her sewing room, and I think I've got pictures of that, Brenda, if I can find them. And I just discovered a bunch of other pictures that I should show sometime. That are pretty interesting. Some stuff I used to do. We used to do a thing. This is really a segue into a whole nother topic, but we used to work with kids in certain times of the year. A friend of mine developed a sort of a learning game for preschoolers about ecology and archaeology and wildlife stuff, forestry issues. And we would go into the classrooms and teach these classes. They lasted, I don't know, a couple of hours. They weren't that long. It wasn't that intense. And I just found some pictures of doing that. I ended up doing a thing for water. It was, let me see if this picture's any good. It was a clean water versus dirty water pollution angle. Hang on, Dean. Let me see if I can bring this in with you and I both.
okay.
So bear with me here for a moment.
I'm going to see if I can find a picture of our dog.
Okay.
Since I'm on the screen. Let me see if I can find him. His name is Otis.
Otis. That's a good dog name. All right, I'm going to try this and see if this works. Screen. This is the what we call the fishing game. If you guys can see it, these kids about this size, and we had these pans of water, and this one had cocoa in it, so it was dark and dirty, and these were of course clear, and I came up with the idea of using these fishing worms, plastic worms, to put in the tanks or the pans. And they would use like chopsticks to catch the fish. That's what we called them. And the kids ate that up for some reason. And they'd get in the polluted ones and they'd hunt around. You have to hunt and find them. They were much harder to find and stuff. But they would line up and then come back and do it again and again. It was craziest thing. It was such a simple little game, and yet these kids just ate it up. And we'd talk about, water pollution and that sort of thing. So, but it was fun at the time. I don't know if I've got any more here or not. Go ahead, Dean. Did you find a picture? Is he a pit? Is he a pit bull?
He's part pit bull, part some kind of terrier.
Cool.
We weren't 100% sure, but that's what we were told.
Was he a rescue dog or a?
Well, more or less. He showed up on our porch about a week after New Year's. That would have been about 2008, I think. We have some like landscaping timbers on our porch, and his leash, he had a leash. It was kind of caught on, the end of some of those. And we found him on the porch, and we tried to find, we put up signs around the neighborhood. We put some ads in some of the newspapers, but after a few weeks, we decided we'd keep him.
So you still have him? How long?
We still have him. We've had him. So it would be about I'm going to say maybe 13 years.
Oh, wow. So he's getting up there.
See, he would have been, the vet told us he looked like maybe, see, we got him like the first week of January. So we're thinking that he was like someone's Christmas pet that they decided,
Could
maybe
be.
it wasn't such a good idea. But
Could
when
be.
we got him, their estimate was that he was about 4 months old.
Oh, wow. So you got him when he was really a pup.
So yeah.
Carol,
So
go ahead.
that was about 2008. So since then,
Yeah, 13 years.
January 2008, yeah. Yeah, we've had him ever since.
Carol, this part of the learning process this is still one of my stations. What they had to do first was we would put out markers. I put out markers, and they had decals, window clings that they could actually paint, and we would let them color in their own fish. So they could, paint a fish and make it whatever they wanted it to look like. And they could take it home and put it in their car window if mom would let them. And that was interesting because you get everything from something that looked kind of like a clownfish or Nemo to something that looked like a Jeffrey fish or just whatever fish, whatever they dreamed up in their head. But this was the first part of my booth or my station, as they called it. And then we moved from this into the fishing game. So they kind of liked it. They got to color a little bit, and they got to talk about fish, and then we got to go talk about clean water versus dirty water. And like I said, they would line up and they would come back for say. I had a girl. We did this at an open house thing that they were celebrating maybe the 75th anniversary of the Norris Dam project, the Norris Dam itself, I guess, completion date. And they opened the dam up. Now, what was big about that was for a long time, people could go to TVA dams and get tours. And school kids went every year to a tour to go walk through the dam, see the generators, be under the water. In Norris's case, there's a big tunnel that goes all the way through the dam to one end where there's a cave actually in the mountainside. But they got to see stuff like that, and they got to see the big generators down below and that sort of thing. But they quit that after 9/11. After 9/11, there were no more tours until about, I don't know when this was, 2016 or 17. And they started letting people in, and we were mobbed. I mean, people came from all over to get to go see the dam again and to participate in this fair. And they had booths set up about electricity and how electricity came to the valley, and antiques that were some of the first appliances that people used in the valley. And it's actually pretty interesting, a lot of interesting things. But we had this booth set up for these kids to have something to do. And I had one little girl that would run and come up and play and get back in line and play and get back just to catch these plastic fishing lures out of this water. I mean, she just absolutely loved it. And why? I mean, I don't know, Carol, maybe you do know, maybe you understand. And I mean, I love the fact that they're interested and curious about it. I do. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I would like to do more of that kind of outreach, teaching kids like that, doing things. But this one, I mean, it's just the simplest things sometimes turn out to be the best things for some of these kids. It was just amazing. Yeah, Carol, if you want to do one of these, if you ever do want to do one of these, you teach that grade level. If you ever want to do one of these Recycle Day or Earth Day kind of a project or game, I bet my friend would help you set something up. I mean, obviously not up there, but send you some of the information. She sort of created this project, and like I said, we went around. I don't know if she's still doing it. I don't know if she has enough. Well, I'm sure they haven't done it during COVID, and maybe not this year yet. And maybe that's going to kill it. But we did 3 or 4 schools every year, and honestly, it was a lot of work to load and do it all, because we had a forestry station, a archaeology station where they actually got to make some kind of an artifact out of clay, and then let it dry, and then they would get to take that on, usually in the form of a necklace or something. But they would make something in the clay that looked like an artifact that we had archaeologists there to show them. And we had a recycling station, and we had one more. Now I cannot. Well, I guess just a wildlife station, I think. And so it was. I mean, it was fun. Like I said, I loved doing kids. I worked with 4-H groups on the lake a lot when I could, and several times. And this particular school, we did this, and then we also did. I went there several times for Earth Day events and things like that. So I enjoyed that. I enjoy working with young people like that. Oh yeah, Brenda got left out this week.
Aw.
Our girls are going to Disney World, and they didn't invite their mom.
What?
And the reason being, this was a sister's bonding trip, they said. They are spending a lot of time together. Maybe they need it. They're both working for the same outfit now, so hopefully that's going to work out for both of them. Our youngest daughter has been a pet groomer for quite a few years now. I'm not really sure how many, and she was having some issues. Little carpal tunnel issues setting in from using the clippers all day, and her knees bothered her a lot. So she thought she'd give this antique / real estate auction thing a try. So they're working together. Yeah, here it is. Brenda vocalized her opinion. I told her, I said, you ought to just shame the heck out of them, because how many times did we take them down, or you take them down? I know that the oldest daughter, Jennifer, she took down when she was 21, and they had their legal first drink together or whatever. But I'm pretty sure that probably wasn't Jen's first. But it's a sister's trip. Yeah, it was a sister's trip. Maybe someday they'll do like you, babe. They'll take you down for Mother's Day. Maybe they'll do that. I wouldn't hold my breath till then, but maybe. Brenda took her mom to Disney World one year for Mother's Day, because it was in May, and the Flower and Garden Festival was there, and they actually had a Mother's Day banquet thing they did in one of the. I don't know if they did that at the Odyssey or where, but anyway, she signed up for that, and they got to do some tours, I think, and get a special dinner, and so that was kind of cool. I don't know if they still do that or not. Yeah, that's hot. But anyhow, I had another question for Dean. I can't remember what it was. It'll come back around on the guitar here in a minute. Let's see what's being said. Let me catch up on chat here real quick. Have I missed anybody that's come in?
I haven't seen anyone new.
Karki, I don't think. I'm going to say it wasn't me, but she wasn't getting it. Maybe she was, but maybe she wasn't. Kids better than I do, so maybe she was, because I did make comment that she was getting to be a regular fisher person. But do we have a Tina? Oh, that Tina's back. Okay. No, Tina, they didn't ask her. They didn't even tell. They probably wouldn't even have told her if it hadn't slipped out. They're kind of bad about that. To avoid that issue, they just don't tell mom. So, I mean, in some ways, it was a surprise that they even told her. I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised they didn't let her go, but I don't know. I've told him my by God better get something 50th anniversary out of the trip. I know that. So I'm hoping they at least bring me some pins or something that say 50th anniversary on it. Because if they don't, I'm going to be really upset with them. They have been told that that's a thing that I expect. So we'll see if it holds up. I don't know if she placed an order for herself or not. Brenda finally got around to telling you your dog was cute, Dean. I see that now.
Oh yeah, he's been having the last couple of years. He's been having trouble walking, but
Okay.
he is like 14 years old now, so um, he's
I know
he's
something
getting
else.
older.
Yeah. No, I'll save this. I got a funny. I think it might be a funny for people. I don't know if they'll enjoy it or not, but we'll see. To protect your privacy issues, I'll save that and video that and post a video, kind of like my squirrel feeder video, which was just a total off the cuff, spur of the moment thing that I had to do. But I thought, well, why don't I just film this and see what happens? I tell you what I'm going to do, Dean, if you can bear with me. I was going to read next chapter in my book, which actually is appropriate because of your dog story you just told me. Because the name of this story, chapter 2 of this book, is A Dog for All Seasons. And this is about Pat McManus's favorite dog when he was growing up. So I got a note last week from Tina or somebody that said my camping story about the fine and pleasant misery did not convince her whatsoever to go camping. So maybe this will be better for having dogs. Maybe this story will be more of will make her appreciate her dogs more. Or I'm pretty sure that was Tina. It might have been somebody else, but we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to read this, and we'll see if people can stand it long enough. It's a fairly short chapter, so it shouldn't take me too long. But it's really another good story about Patrick McManus. I'm trying to keep my face on the screen here. I don't know. You can't see the book, but one of these days they'll probably come out with a mechanical bird dog that locates pheasants with a special scent detector and radar. The small on-dog computer, well, if he only knew how true that might be today, a small on-dog computer will record and analyze all available information and give the hunter a report. 2 roosters and 5 hens in Stubblefield, 253 feet away. A pointer on the dog's back would indicate the exact direction. There would be luxury models, of course, with built-in stereo and FM sets, a special compartment for lunches, a cooler for beverages. The dog's nose would be a cigarette lighter. Oh, gosh. I saw a cigarette. That reminds me. Yesterday on something, I don't know if it was Instagram or where I saw this, but or Pinterest or I don't know, or something on. Oh, I think it might have been on sale on the YouTube Marketplace. But they had a cigarette lighter adapter plug that get rid of your cigarette lighter if you still have one. A lot of cars don't have them now, but the button said missile launch, and it was a bright red button, and so if you pushed it in. I kind of liked it. I've always owned a car with missiles on it because there's always been somebody in front of me I'd like to blast out of the way. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's road rage. That's a whole nother story. The really high-priced jobs would not only retrieve the bird, but pluck it, dress it, wrap it in foil, and quick freeze it. By the time the bird got back to the hunter, it would be neat and trim as a TV dinner. Since no self-respecting hunter would want to be seen carrying his dog around by handle, all but the cheapest models would be designed to look like nifty attache cases. If you pass by some good hunting ground on your way home from work, you could get out, let your attache case nose around in a thicket or two. There would be minor inconveniences. We'll have to go back, Harry. I thought I had my bird dog, but it's just a bag of briefs. But on the whole, the mechanical bird dog would have many advantages over the standard makes most of us have now. Still, I'm something of a traditionalist, and if the mechanical bird dog were to go on the market tomorrow, I'd probably stick with my old ready-made hound, such as he is. His eyes don't light up much anymore, let alone his tubes. And you can't light a cigarette on the end of his nose. The sounds that come out of him are not stereo, fortunately. And he has never been much on fidelity any way you look at it. But I would keep him nevertheless. There was a time in my youth, however, when I would have swapped my dog for a mechanical job and thrown in my T-shirt decorated with bottle caps to boot. Drink time. Bottle caps. That reminds me of some artwork I found. You're in here, Shelly. I'm going to take a pause here a minute and see if I've got this picture handy. Right, I know I'm chasing a squirrel. Sorry. I call this Tennessee artwork, but I don't know if I've got this right here or not. If I do, I found it. I can't cross this. I may have shown this before. Drop my microphone in the floor. Sorry, guys. Oh, I may not have it. Rats. I thought I had it handy. Okay. Anyway, it was a foam pole or a power line pole that somebody had covered in snooze cans, or dipped cans, whatever you want to call it, tobacco. And I figured they'd created a piece of artwork out there in the country. I'm sure somebody was proud of it. Maybe their mamas, I don't know, but they may not ever show it to mama. And again, mama might not have approved of them dipping snuff, so maybe they didn't. But anyway, back to the book. Take the flaws of character you find in all dogs and most human beings, roll them up in the hide of a sickly warthog, and you would have a reasonable facsimile of my dog Stranger, who was dirty, lazy, bigoted, opinionated, gluttonous, conceited, ill-tempered, and an incorrigible liar. Nothing worse than a dog that lies. Get y'all excited about a bird and there's not one there. An old man once summed up Stranger's characteristics succinctly. He's a pervert, he said. I didn't know what perverts were, but had no doubt Stranger was one of them. We had called the dog Stranger out of the faint hope that he was just passing through. As it turned out, the name was most inappropriate since he stayed on for nearly 20 years, all the while biting the hands that fed him and making snide remarks about my grandmother's cooking. Eventually, the name was abbreviated just to Strange, which was shorter and much more descriptive. My mother used to say that Strange was like one of the family. Then my grandmother would bawl her out and say that that was no way to talk about my Uncle George. That was one of Mom's favorite jokes and was probably the reason she allowed the dog to stay on the place. At least nobody ever thought of another reason. I used to beg for a decent dog, a Labrador Retriever, an Irish Setter, or just a regular old mongrel, like most of the other kids had, but with no success. We just weren't a two-dog family, and since no one in his right mind would take Strange, and Mom wouldn't take advantage of anyone who revealed his low mentality by offering to take Strange, I was stuck with him. It makes it sound like he doesn't have a lot of use for this dog, but I think that's probably not entirely true. Strange didn't even make a good criminal. In our part of the country, the worst crime a dog can commit is to run deer. As soon as Strange found this out, he rushed out into our clover field and tried to run the deer that grazed there. They would have none of it. They looked at the wildly yapping creature dancing around them and went back to their munching. Strange had only two chores, but he could never get them straight. He was supposed to attack prowlers, especially those whose character bore the slightest resemblance to his own, and to protect the chickens. He always thought it was the other way around. Whenever he was caught assaulting a chicken, he would come up with some cock and bull story about how the chicken had been about to set fire to the house, when he, Strange, happened along and prevented the arson. Bad enough we have a dog that attacks chickens. We have to have one that lies about it besides, Mom said. It should be understood that Strange did not actually speak in words, or at least that anyone ever heard, but with his eyes and gestures, with feet, tail, and ears. If you've ever had a dog, you probably know the language. As for prowlers, Strange would go out and invite tramps in off the road for a free meal. While the dog was out in the yard apologizing to the tramp for my grandmother's cooking, the women folk would peek out through the curtains and try to determine whether the fellow was dangerous. If so, they would wait until he had just about finished his meal, and then my sister would bellow, "Do you want the gun, Ma? Do you want the gun?" I've been there, I think. This usually would bring, I was usually out in the yard though. This usually would bring the tramp to his feet and send him at a fast walk toward the nearest cover, the ditch on the far side of the road. Even had the gun been real, which it wasn't, the tramp would have been in no danger unless, of course, he happened to step between Mom and the dog. As soon as I was old enough to hunt, I would borrow a shotgun and sneak out to the woods in search of grouse. I had to sneak, not just because Mom disapproved of my hunting, but because Strange would insist upon going along and contributing his advice and services. An army of Cossacks could have bivouacked in our front yard for the night without his knowing a thing about it, but he could hear the sound of a shotgun shell being dropped into a flannel shirt pocket at 100 yards. Just as I would be easing my way out the door, he would come staggering out of the woodshed, his eyes bloodshot and bleary from a night of carousing, and say, "My suggestion is that we try Schultz's Woods first and then work our way up Stagg's Hill. And if we don't get anything there, we can stop by the Haversteads and shoot some of their chickens." Strange made slightly less noise going through the woods than an armored division through a bamboo jungle. Nevertheless, we usually managed to get a few birds, apparently because they thought that anything that made that much noise couldn't possibly be hunting. My dog believed in a mixed bag: grouse, ducks, pheasants, rabbits, squirrels, chipmunks, gophers, skunks, porcupines. If we saw a cow or a horse, he would shout, "Shoot that big one, shoot, shoot." Fortunately, Strange tired of hunting after about an hour. "Let's eat lunch now," he said. If he had been particularly disgusting that day, I would lie and tell him that I had forgotten to bring a lunch, knowing that it was against his principle. He only had one principle: to ever be caught more than an hour's distance away from a food supply. He would immediately strike off for home with the look of a man who has suddenly been deposited in the middle of the Mojave Desert. Thus it went through most of the years of my youth until finally Strange's years totaled what we supposed to be about a dozen. He sensed death approaching, probably the first thing in his life he ever did sense approaching, and one day staggered to a window, looked out, and said, "A dog like me should live for 1,000 years." Then he died. Everyone wept and said he hadn't been such a bad dog after all. Everyone except my grandmother, who simply smiled to herself as she stirred the gravy. Oops. That night at dinner, I said, "This sure is lumpy gravy, and this pie crust sure is tough." It seemed like the least I could do for Strange. As I say, there was a time when I would have traded a dog like Strange in an instant for a mechanical bird dog, but now, well, let me think about that for a while. So he had an interesting dog. That's that chapter. The next one's especially good, one of my favorites of all time. It's called The Modified Stationary Panic. And I'll have to read that next time or sometime in the near future. Honestly, right now, that made my mouth hurt. So I've got a tooth that's hurting. So even reading didn't feel good. I'm getting ready to have a bunch of teeth pulled. So in the near future, you guys are probably going to have a mask bear, because I'm probably going to wear a mask just to hide my even uglier dental situation until I get some replacements put in. But at least I won't have so many broken teeth that I suddenly have. So that'll be good. Take care of your teeth, Dean. I took care of mine for a long time, and then suddenly they went to hell in a handbasket. Now they're breaking off all the time.
Yeah.
Let's see here what we got. Tina says her dogs lie all the time. My cats do that, Tina. Cats lie like that too, especially about the being fed part. We've got one that lies all the time about being hungry. He acts like he's never been fed in his life. If you ask him, he'd say no if he could talk. And, he'd say that these people never feed me. When in truth, he gets at least 2 good squares a day. Yeah, squirrel, Tina. You should know by now that I can't avoid chasing a good squirrel, so I just have to. It's my nature. It's why when I get in a conversation, sometimes Brenda says it lasts way too long. Let's put it that way. That's probably the nicest way she's ever. Well, let me tell you something else about our cats, particularly this one that's laying here asleep beside me. Well, actually, he's not the worst, although he doesn't pass up a good meal. I probably already told you this, but Brenda bought them a treat one day. And it was these squeezy tubes of like gravy flavor, or cat food flavored gravy, or chicken flavored gravy, or tuna flavored gravy, whatever it is. And she gave it to our cats. This was much akin to the dope pusher giving away free heroin for the first couple of times. The first ones are always free till they get you hooked. Well, it only took one of these to hook the cats. And now the little black cat that was down here earlier, about 11 o'clock at night, he starts screaming. And yes, that's, I'm just coming to bed about 11 o'clock. And that's before I lay awake for a couple hours reading or doing something else. But anyway, he'll start screaming because it's time for his heroin fix. It's time for his cat treat. I don't remember what they're called. Brenda might have to give the name of the product. I don't remember exactly, but he will sit and wait on that, and he's hooked on it. There's no 2 ways about it. We have to run the other cats out of the room. Now they all like dry treats. He does some, but he's like me a little bit. He's old and got bad teeth, so he can't chew all of them, I don't think. But he loves that gravy stuff. Oh my Lord. And he can eat it faster than I could suck it through a straw. I can't believe how fast he gobbles it down. And then of course he'd like to have more. And if I give him one when I go up and shut the door so the other cats can't come in and interrupt his snack time, and then Brenda comes back to the bedroom to see if I need anything or to check on me or yell at me or something like that, then he'll tell her that I didn't give him one and it's time for his snack. He'll lie. Oh my God, will he lie? He'll run to his bowl, hop up in the window, hop back down, go to her, scream. They are not to be trusted with food. Oh yeah, Tina, I bet you got something similar to that, or just regular, dog treats, because these things, Tina, I do too. That's enough. Oh, I need to get rid of this again. I forget. And they're telling me that part of my problem was all the pain meds I was on for so long. I don't know if this is maybe common knowledge in here. I can't remember if I've ever said it. I may have. 10 or 12 years, I took morphine every day, 2 or 3 times a day, pills. And then I was on Percocet part of the time. And I'm not on any of that stuff now. But they say that dries your mouth out, which also rots your teeth faster. And I had no broken teeth, really. I had some old cavities that I broke one off because I think that was because of the old cavity. It was weak. But everything was doing great until suddenly they started falling apart. And I think that did have a lot to do with it. I've always brushed my teeth. I floss some, but like I said, I went 25 years one time between teeth cleanings, and the dentist said, well, the tooth fairy's been coming or something because your teeth are in great shape. And I said, well, I got strong teeth. He said I had good dental genes. I thought I was just wearing Wranglers, but apparently that was, it was keeping my teeth better. That's a joke. Jeans, get it? Jeans, teeth, jeans. Oh, well, maybe that was too deep for Saturday morning. Or maybe it just really wasn't funny. So, well, we kind of have that problem too, Tina. Some of our cats like certain ones a lot better than they like others. And then there's Simon. And Simon eats anything and everything. He's the one that lies about food a lot, but he's food dependent. Maybe he's got a problem, and so but he's not picky. I mean, he'll eat pretty much anything you give him, outside of maybe a green vegetable. He probably wouldn't eat a pea. I don't think he'll eat peas, but if it's anywhere near close to meat, he'll eat it. And we don't feed table scraps to the cats, but except in the occasional piece of chicken or something, he might get a little bit of chicken, cooked chicken, or even a piece of beef. But that boy will eat everything. Oh, you got it. Okay, Tina. Well, thanks. I'm glad somebody got it. It's bad. It don't have a big audience. And then when it goes completely flat, it's really discouraging. You worry about tryouts if they won't eat something, even lettuce. Well, yeah, I can't. If Simon wouldn't eat, turn down anything, I'd be worried about him too. And bless his heart, he's had a hard time lately with food. With everything. He fell a few months back. I don't know how long ago it's been now. In the middle of the night, we heard this god awful crash and yell, crying, hollering, and Simon was injured. Now, Simon weighed 22 pounds at the time. He wasn't super agile, but he was pretty quick. But who knows what they got into? But we think he was up on the high. He gets on this one cat tree we have. It's at the window, and it's fairly tall. And he likes to get up there and look out the window and watch the birds and stuff. He doesn't have any ambition to go chase the birds, but he likes to watch them. He's not that athletic. But somewhere in the middle of the night, it woke us both up, and he had fallen. We thought maybe he had broken his pelvis or something. So we took him to the vet. Nothing was broke. He was just stoved up, but he never has used his tail properly again. His tail droops a lot. And for a while, you could just about step on it. It's kind of like my leg, sort of dead. But he had a hard time going to the bathroom, just to be blunt. Number 2. And we noticed that it was, we tried to watch him and take care of him and stuff, but he was having trouble. So we finally had to take him back. It was getting really bad. Found out he was super constipated and probably had been for a little while. And we just didn't know it. I mean, he was managing to secrete some feces, but not much. And we had to have him his plumbing flushed out 2 or 3 times to get him straightened up. But now he seems to be doing well. The problem with even when he was solid, packed in, couldn't cycle the food through his system, he still eat. He didn't care. He was ready to eat anyway, which just made his problem that much worse. I'm not even going to tell you how much money we spent on him because, well, let's just say it wasn't huge, but it wasn't small. And I probably wouldn't. I mean, I'd have trouble spending that on myself, much less him. Your cat likes cheese. He comes running when he hears the cheese wrapper. We've had cats that really like cheese. We've had some cats that, Shelly's got to head out. Y'all have a great day.
Bye, Shelly.
That's your weekend. Bye, Shelly. Thank you for stopping by. Let me know if you've ever got a Saturday morning when you'd like to be on the air and talk a little bit about photography or something. I would really like to have you on. It's a big hint. And you can talk money, if you'll come on for money, we can talk about that later. I don't have much, but maybe if you send me $20, I'll let you. I bet I have some idea. My husband asked about. Let's see here. Bet I have some idea. My husband asked about another dog, and I say no. We can't afford more dogs. that's. I mean, I get that. Okay, Shelley. You have a great weekend. Send us some more pictures here. I'm waiting on the next installment. Oh yeah, that's Simon. I was just talking about Simon, baby. You were gone. I think I heard you walking upstairs. If he hears the meat drawer on the refrigerator open, he comes flying in the kitchen. He would like to have the ham or the roast beef or the sandwich, any sandwich meat, some cheese. He does like cheese some, but man, he would just about kill his mother for some sliced ham, even though I don't think he should be eating it. And we don't give him much, but he would certainly eat it if you gave it to him. He has no problem eating. He's not allergic to food whatsoever. He's met very little food in his life he didn't like. Cats are, I know some people, cats seem to have either a love-hate relationship with people, and I guess I know why, but I mean, I got one laying right here beside me that's pretty picky, but I don't know. I like them. Teddy lays here beside me all the day long when I'm sitting here. And when I go sit on the couch, he comes flying over there to cuddle. Now, he doesn't cuddle long, but he's a really good cuddler. And then once I fall asleep, Brenda says once I fall asleep, he gets down and goes and lays in his cat bed. He just puts me to sleep, which could be true. I do seem to wake up a lot with him gone, and I'm pretty sure he was there. So there may be something to that. I think there's nothing much soother than a cat purr. I wish I could purr like that. I mean, think about it. If people could purr, they would be able to relax and, kind of mellow out at night, and when they needed to take a nap or just get in bed at night and sleep, because I think that's one of the problems in America today is we don't sleep enough. I don't know when I had a full, truly what I would. I used to be a real early to bed, early to rise person. Now I'm a late to bed, mostly early to get up, sometimes late to rise. But so I know I don't get enough sleep, but I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I tend to fluctuate. I have some later nights and some earlier nights. Like last night, I went to bed probably closer to about 11, but usually I'm going to bed right about midnight. So that's why I was up in time to catch the stream.
What's the earliest you ever have to go into work?
I go in. Well, I start at 11:30, and I'm only about 15 minutes from Wendy's. So, I usually start getting ready for work about an hour before my scheduled shift, and then I will leave at 30 minutes, aim to leave at 30 minutes before the shift, even though it only takes me 10 to 15 minutes to get ready. Sometimes I get distracted, and then sometimes I don't get out the door right on time. So I kind of give myself those blocks of time to get to work.
Hang on just 1 minute, Dean, or keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. I will keep talking. So yeah, I give myself plenty of time to get ready for work and to get to work. But so yeah.
Well, I got interrupted there. I apologize for that. Brenda came down. She was I could tell she was armed to go out. She had a purse.
Oh.
So she's got to go on yet another fabric detail. She was looking for a particular color of bias tape, which is the edging you put on when you're sewing. If you know what that is or not, it's usually a piece of material that's folded over. She actually makes her own bias tape usually, or can, but she also buys it when she finds it on sale. But this color, she was trying to finish up an apron that she has that's got some embroidery on it, and this color makes the apron pop. And somehow she came up short about 3 feet. And she went yesterday and she bought a couple of packs of bias tape, the color she thought it was, and it was not that color. And so now she's on a hunt. She told me she was going hunting, Tina. So yeah, she was armed. As far as I know, there wasn't anything in her pocket, but maybe a knife, pocket knife. But yeah, she's going after that yellow bias tape. She's got to find that color, because if she can't finish that apron up. And it's not so much that whether it'll sell soon or not. I mean, it's a Thanksgiving kind of an apron or a holiday, but it's got cooking stuff on it. And I think it seems like the embroidery on it says something about kitchen witch or something on the front. But she can't finish it, and that's what's driving her crazy. She's got a 95% completed apron that she's staring at that she can't finish.
Yeah.
Until she finds that bias tape. And I tried to get her just to, get, if she could find the material to match it, to, make some. But I don't know if she's found that material yet. But she went out yesterday while I was in therapy. I had a 10 o'clock therapy appointment, and she took off. She dropped me out, kicked me out at the curb, and said, "Walk, cripple man, get out of here." And I got in the therapy building. She was gone. She went to a Joann's that was getting a truck in yesterday morning with all kinds of new stock that they had run out of. And she grabbed up the first yellow she found and was so happy yesterday when she picked me up. She could finish the apron. Got home and it was the wrong color.
Oh.
Which is not funny, but I thought it was it's a little funny. So she's back out again trying to find some more. I don't know if she'll find any or not. She may not. That color, though. Yeah. It's kind of a gold. I say yellow, but it's kind of a gold yellow. It matches my daughter. I think she blamed this on Kelly. So she was showing it to him. She said, "What color do you think I should edge this in to match?" And they came up with gold, or yet that yellow. Kelly seemed to think it was the color to put on there. And so she did, and now she can't find enough to finish the paper. Because that's another thing she has in stock. She has quite the running stock in her sewing room. And she has 2 rooms in our house. She has a sewing room, and she has an embroidery room. So she's actually, and in fact, both of those rooms were at one time, at least one of them was my office upstairs. And I've been kicked out of all that, finally kicked downstairs. So, don't feel too sorry for her. Because she's doing okay. She's taken up at least 3 or 4 rooms of the house now. And, oh, there's a picture. I don't know if I can share this or not. It may not show up good. I will show you this. Bear with me again, Dean.
All right.
New rabbit hole, but on the subject.
I do need to go in a few minutes.
Okay.
Probably in about 5 minutes.
That is one of Brenda's annual pictures when we were young and met. So you can see the pretty young lady I fell in love with. And she has her wallet and her credit cards. Yeah. But that's my blushing bride right there. We're both trying to figure out what happened all those years ago. She has had short hair for so many years now, I can't remember it being long. But anyway, just thought I would show that to brighten up the day. I chose pretty good. And this is I don't know if I've ever shown this picture or not. This is my mom And when you see me and see her, I'm not sure how that happened either. But all right, one more time before you go, Dean. Let me show this one. This is my mother in high school. I'm guessing senior picture because they used to really dress up. Of course, we kind of did too when I was a senior, but they kind of dressed up more when they were back then. I don't know how many of her brothers and sisters actually made it through high school. Maybe all of them. Their mother was a teacher, so she might have made them all go to school. But back then, a lot of kids didn't make it all the way through school, and she was from a pretty big family. Okay, what's Brenda's? I actually have two knobs with me. Not that I'm going to use. No, two knives with her. She's carrying two knives, people. If somebody tries to grab that bias tape, they might get cut, is what she's trying to say. Well, thank you, Tina. She was a very pretty young lady. I have to admit, no wonder my dad fell for her. I probably would have too. Oh, wait, I can't say that. She's my mother. She wasn't yet. But a Wicked Brewery. That's right. It says not Wicked, not Kitchen Wicked. It's Wicked Brewery Company. It's a nice looking apron. If I had the picture, I'd show it to you. I think I've got one on my phone, but I don't think I've got it on here yet. All right, let's get Mom off the screen. Rest in peace, Mother. And
Anyway,
my life was when I lost
here's
my
a George. It's George.
George is a handsome rooster. I have to admit.
Yeah.
He's quite the cock. And look at his spurs. You talk about roosters fighting. Can you see the spur on his foot? I don't know if you probably.
Oh yeah.
But there's roosters like that have spurs, and they're bony projections on the back of their legs. And man, if you don't think they can't hurt you with those things, just give them a shot. They can slack work on you with those spurs. I've had a couple after me.
Yep. But I started putting the food right into the this planter there, that little pot there.
Well, he likes
and it's the perfect height for him to just walk up and.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'll scatter it on the ground, like over at the end of our porch here. It's a little less grassy, so sometimes I'll put food there, but I've started putting it in here too. So anyway,
he hasn't brought any friends with him over yet, huh?
Not yet. I think he's found all the good spots, and he's not going to share any.
All right, Dean. I really appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I gotta I'm tackling over here.
Yeah.
Right here. The shelf of this hutch over here. I've got to tackle that today. I'm gonna take everything off, organize it if I can. I might throw some things away because I'm not sure what's up there exactly. It's a little knickknacks and things I'm not sure I would use. So I've gotta just I have to attack it.
I truly understand. If you could see behind my curtain of flags there, you would see part of my pile. I've got a pile over there that I've been reorganizing, trying to sort and put in plastic bins so I can store them. And I'm bad. I get to a point where I need help making a decision on whether to. Well, Brenda would tell me to throw it all away, but since I'm not going to do that because I am my parents' child, I still need to put it in a different box. And I get to a point where I'm struggling on where to put it, and I get hung up on that. And I can't. It's hard. I'm one of those guys that's hard to throw stuff. I'd be a hoarder if that wasn't such a terrible. I mean, I do throw stuff away and recycle things and stuff like that, but I'd probably make a good hoarder because I could hang on to everything if I had half a chance.
Oh yeah.
My parents didn't throw stuff away. They used everything till it was gone. And anything might be usable tomorrow. My dad had a ball of string even, so they held on to stuff. Anyway, don't want to keep you. Go tackle your
All
stuff.
right.
Thank you again for coming on. I'm sure everybody's enjoyed the information, the history about Oviedo. No,
Oviedo.
Oviedo. Ovidio. That's what I have to remember. It's sort of like Ovidio. Maybe that way.
Oviedo.
Oviedo. Oviedo. Well, enjoy your day. Up, up.
They used to grow celery
Celery.
in the area. Celery was big back in the day. So,
Okay, go. All right,
all
Dave.
right.
Have a good day, buddy. I'm gonna.
All right.
And you take care and thanks again.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Well, you're back to me, folks. That was good. That was good. My God, we've been on 2 hours already. It was good to have company on. So Dean's got to go for turkey legs. He will be soon. I'm pretty sure. What am I being said up here? Brent Soggy Bear is not paying attention to my aprons. He needs to be more apron. Oh, he needs to be apron shamed. I promote you more than you promote me, young lady. I'll have you know. I've been trying to get you to put your aprons out on Instagram and everything else. Yeah, I remember that, Tina. I remember a drape. I think they still did that some when we were in school. You could pin it on you or whatever, and it made everybody look like they were wearing the same outfit. And I don't know if the guys had that. I'm pretty sure the girls did. Brenda might be able to tell you, but it was a much more formal thing back then. I would show that apron, but I don't. Like I said, I can't seem to access all my pictures right now, and until I can, and she's got a couple of new aprons. I don't know where's your Tina posted your Etsy shop. Let me see what's on there. Oh, well, there it is. That apron, actually, no, that's a different one. She's got two. No, right now she's got one Halloween apron online, which I think is really cute. It's Kitchen Witch. I knew there was a witch in there somewhere. It says magical things created in this kitchen. Well, that's true when I can talk her into fixing stuff. She hasn't been wanting to fix me things because she doesn't want me to eat too much, I guess. It's working because I've lost a fair bit of weight. So I'm trying to figure out, you guys give me an opinion on this. Some of you are Etsy people, some of you are not. She's got a couple of Christmas aprons too that I really like. And I'm amazed haven't sold. I mean, this one in particular, I'm absolutely flabbergasted that she hasn't sold this one. Let me share it on the screen. Just for the heck of it, because I can. I mean, I think that's a really cool apron. It's got snowmen on it. It's got little birds and trees, and candy canes and peppermint candies and all that kind of stuff. It's got a big apron string it can tie in the back or the front. It's got pockets. She puts pockets on pretty much everything. Most of Brenda's aprons have some form of pocket. She's working on one for me, but as of course it should be the case, I guess she's I'm lower on the totem pole, which is fine. I get that. Maybe someday I'll get an apron for a work apron. Although I need one in the kitchen too. I need one about all the time because if I don't, I'm gonna spill stuff all over me. This one is what's she call this one? Candy something? Oh, candy skulls. Yeah, this one's kind of a Halloweeny, sort of a Halloweeny kind of thing. You guys can see the skulls on there. That's I think that's a neat one. What they call Calavera. I've already talked about this. The Calavera skulls, or whatever it is they're called, the candy skulls, and Del Norte, or not Del Norte. what is the Night of the Dead? Night of the before Halloween called, if you're in Spanish culture or Mexican culture. Oh, here's another Christmassy one with poinsettias. I like this style apron too. So she may tell you I don't ever show her off her aprons or anything, but I do, because she does such good work. I mean, I'll brag, and maybe this is just everybody does this, but I think she's had all the aprons she sold over the years. She's never had anything but good reviews and good remarks. She's custom made them for people. Oh, wait a minute. My microphone's in the floor, guys. I'm sorry. I hope you could hear me there. But anyway, she just has a few on there right now, and but she's working on some more. She went through a phase recently where she sold a bunch, and then it slowed down a little bit right now. But like I said, I can't figure out why some of those. She's got a few out there that I can't figure out why they've not sold. But like I said, I'm biased, so what would I know? Oh, I need to stop sharing. I might share something important there. Okay, what have I missed here since I've been gone? Since I've been doing that. Dean's gone. Bye, Dean. Hey, Ashley loves Disney. Sorry I didn't see you come in. I was distracted. I was off chasing rabbits, as I say. And there's Dawn back. You love that candy skull one, but I would prefer it to loop around the neck too. Yeah, that's a short apron, half apron. I like full aprons too. I mean, I used to wear aprons a lot when I worked. When I was doing sheet metal, she made me some work aprons that were just, about mid-thigh. I could put my drawing tools in it, and I could put my certain tools in there that I was working on. Kept my clothes a lot cleaner. But I've used aprons to work in for years out in the shop, and they do protect your clothes a lot. Of course, she told me if I get the one she's making for me now dirty, she's gonna kill me. Well, that's good, Tina. That's a pretty good microphone. I have to admit, I think I did well on this mic because it is sensitive, and it does pick me up even when I set it down on the floor. So right now I'm having to set it here in front of me off to the side just because that's where it'll fit. I can put it right in front of me, but I don't feel like I should do that, like right here. But it's a blue, and what's the other term? Some of them are called something else, but this is a snowball, and I had to punch a couple of holes. I bought this pop filter or whatever they call it to put on, which is collecting cat hair, to put on to kind of protect the mic. And I bought the one that has, I make two models of this one. This one has mics in the front and back, so I can switch it if I'm doing a podcast or an interview. It picks up the guy on the other side just as well, but I never use that, and it still seems to pick up everything in the room. So it's I like it. It's not terribly expensive. I think it was under $100. I want to say 89 maybe for this one, and the one under it's even cheaper. I think I've been a while since I bought it, but I went ahead and bought this mic ring to put it in, so I don't, that protects it more from other music. You've been in ghost mode, okay, Tina or Dawn. I like it. I think it's a good microphone. I first saw somebody using them online a couple of years ago, and if I wanted a good mic, but I didn't want one that cost several $100s, because if Brenda's still listening, she would murder rate me. She would have my hair for that, as we used to say. Does Brenda make any aprons from Disney prints? Yes, she does, Dawn, and she hasn't lately, but she does, and we've talked about that a lot. I've told her that with the Disney folks here, she should, and she actually makes other things besides aprons. but that's what she's made lately. I think she does that in part because they're simple to her. Um, you don't have to fit them so much, like clothing. But she used to make shirts, what we used to call trade shirts, when I was doing rendezvousing. In fact, I believe last night I put together some photographs. I might be able to show you some trade shirts like she used to make. And I used to sell them for spending money or gas money when I would go to rendezvous or, doing reenactments and stuff years ago. And they were so, everybody that bought them loved them. I mean, they were just so well made. There were some really cheap ones out there. And then she made some out of linen. She made some out of muslin. And she made a lot of them out of gingham because gingham was around. Certain prints of gingham, at least, were around during the 1800s. You had to try to stay between 1740 and 1840 or something like that was the basic time period range. So you had people that were dressed like they would have been during the colonies, colonial area, the French and Indian War period, the 1750s, right up till the last of the fur trade era, which was in about 1940, 1937, I think was the last. I can't remember exactly now when the last rendezvous was, but let's see here. I've got a muzzle loading page. Oh, I don't have that picture. Well, maybe I don't have that picture then. But I think, let me see. I was looking last night. I hadn't been to a rendezvous in years. I used to belong to a group called the NM National Muzzleloading Rifle Association at Friendship. Friendship, Indiana is where we used to have the national matches. They were technically called. They really weren't a true rendezvous. Okay, let me see. I've got a few photos here. Let me put this up let me share this with just for edification purposes, if you will. And I'll share a little bit of their work. Let's see if I tried to make that a little bit bigger. Don't know if it'll show up any more bigger or not. But that's a nice looking flintlock there. And, they have matches, traditional matches. Of course, they support hunting in a more modern genre. That is not what I want to. Those are not the pictures I want to see. There's a national championship. Shoot, let's see. Video. I don't want a video. There's a trade shirt on that guy, but you can't see it. I can't make these big enough. Maybe this isn't going to work. I looked at a lot of these last night, and I started putting together a slideshow. But as you can see, it did not all take. That's not what I want. I just looked through this last night. Sorry, folks, bear with me a minute. I promise this will be a lot more interesting if I can get to what I'm looking for. Then again, maybe it won't. Well, this is just things, not the kind of things I'm looking for. Muzzle Blast is the NMLRA's was monthly publication. I'm not sure. I've got several boxes of these. I kept them all pretty much. Dang it, I had a whole bunch of nice pictures yesterday I was looking at, and I thought these would be good to show and tell. Simply because they would be. And I did download a couple, but I didn't download them all. These are historical photos. These are mostly taken back there. I'd say that's straight out of the 50s, because look at the young man with his coonskin cap. When Davy Crockett, the movie, Walt Disney, Davy Crockett movie came out, the whole Davy Crockett thing went crazy around the country. And the coonskin cap became a bigger thing probably than it ever was when in reality. Some of these guys, I knew people who actually knew some of them years ago. And I was looking to see if there's any Tennessee people here. That guest house never got built that I know of. Well, here's a photo gallery. Hang on, maybe this has got some stuff in it. These are on the range up there. This is just people shooting. I wanted to get some TP pictures and that kind of stuff. These are pictures of the national matches. This is one of the pistol competitions. This obviously is a muzzle loader that looks more like a modern pistol, so that's some kind of contemporary muzzle loading. And they have social media. Here's some living history stuff. Let's see what this shows. Annual long rifle show. Oh, it's not going to have much in it. Not sure what these guys. They're shooters, I guess. I shot some long range target rifles one time with a guy who was into that kind of competition, and they shoot these old rifles at 500 and 600 yards, and they're very accurate. I mean, these are guns that were styled after guns built in the 1800s, and they still function today. I mean, they're still setting scores that are hard to beat, even by modern equipment. Powder horns, blanket coats. There's a trade shirt. You can't see a lot of it, but that is a trade shirt. Let's have that anvil. Probably rifles for sale, stocks for sale, rifle parts for sale to build your own. Well, I can't find what I'm looking for, so I'm sure some of you out there are saying, well, give it up and stop. Get us out of here. I wanted to at least show you one picture of some guys in costume, period dress, as we referred to it back then. Some beautiful work. I have had some friends, some of them have passed on, I'm afraid, that were made some beautiful, what people call Pennsylvania or Kentucky long rifles, or Tennessee long rifles. There was actually a whole genre of Tennessee rifles built at one time, or style. At the same time, the famous Kentucky rifles were around, but they weren't quite as fancy. There's a Daniel Boone. That helped too. The Daniel Boone series was also very popular. Here's a guy. There's a guy in traditional dress. He's got leggings on. Looks like he's got leather leggings. He's wearing a breechcloth and a shirt. Now Brenda made shirts like that too for people. And like I said, I sold them, and I would pretty much always sell out. I take a couple of dozen up there with me, and I'd always sell out. And made a little spending money, gave it back, some of it back to her, so she could, do her thing. But wow, I really want to show you an encampment, but I guess I'm not going to get to. All these pictures and nothing of the what we used to call the primitive area. And there's a fancy eating utensils. A spoon, a knife, and a fork. They're made out of flintlocks. They look like flintlocks. And a trigger even. I want if that sparked, you could make your fire with your spoon. That'd be interesting. Oh, that's not it. That's Ed Sheeran. Anyway, I'm trying to find my. I can't find my page. Oh, geez, I think I've shut you guys off. I believe I have. Let me turn it back on here. So anyway, I need to quit sharing the screen, don't I? Yeah, black powder and muzzle loading. John, have you ever messed with any of that? I used to be really into it, and I built a couple of rifles with a friend that Mark, his dad is a premier gunsmith, and he's been in the muzzleloading business for years. He makes he builds high quality hardware for other people, and they sell it, put their name on it, and sell it or whatever. But he makes really high quality locks, the mechanisms that fire and trigger. I don't know if he's making triggers now or not, but he makes parts, and people put them on their rifles, or they sell the parts for kits. And I've got two of his old kits, I think, one of his old kits in my closet. And I want them. When I had to move when I lost my job and had to move and went back to college, I lost my access to my shop. And so I had to put a lot of projects up, and they were in storage for so many years because I didn't have a place to work on anything, that when I moved into this house with a garage, I was doing other things and hadn't worked on any of that in a while. So I'm wanting to get my garage revamped and have one corner of it be for woodworking and muzzle loaders and that sort of thing, and start doing that kind of stuff again now that I'm retired. Okay, Tina, tell me about what your area is called leather stocking country. Yeah, there's a lot of muzzle loaders from up that way, and Fenimore Cooper's stories are about that area, or some of them are. That upstate New York area. Is that why, or is there another reason? Oh, really? I did not know that, John. You probably told me, and I'm surprised they don't allow them to use shotguns. A lot of areas down this way, if it's shotgun only, and there are a few restricted areas on, like the military bases. There's some places like Fort Campbell, which is out on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. They actually allow people to hunt there in a certain area. It's well policed, of course, but they allow you to hunt, but you can only use shotguns or muzzle loaders. And that's because of concern about, range of high powered rifles and stuff. There's a lot of states that way. I don't know. I think Ohio has started allowing certain kinds of rifles to be used, like older calibers, older rifles that don't have the range that a modern magnums do, and that sort of stuff. But when I used to go up there and hunt with these guys, we either bow hunted or muzzle loaded, and you could either use a muzzle loader or a shotgun. Oh, okay. Well, that's rifle shotgun barrel with slugs is pretty accurate and have a pretty good wallop, so they've got a lot of knockdown. That's one of the reasons, Tina, that I want to come see that part of the country, is because I read a lot of those books about that country during that time period, that leather stocking time period, if you will, about the Native Americans up there, the trade with them, how the British and the French both kind of manipulated the tribes up there to either fight for them or to help them fight the other, fight the other tribes and or the other. During the French and Indian War, was the French and Indians basically against the British, at that time, or the American settlers, ever since we were still colonies of the British at that time. And so a lot of that history took place up in your country. And that's why when we were marooned at Mackinac City that time, when we were going to the Boundary Waters, and our truck broke down. But we spent time over at the Mackinac Fort, which was the old trade station there on the Point or whatever there, not near the bridge, and got to see some of that history. It was pretty interesting. I used to shoot in muzzleloading matches. I didn't ever shoot in some of those formal matches. I always shot in like some local, more relaxed kind of matches or holidays or special occasions. For a few years during what we used to call Jonesboro days, in Jonesboro on the 4th of July, we used to have a small encampment, or we tried to do a rendezvous of sorts there. And it just never really caught on, but it probably didn't last long enough. But we used to do a muzzleloading match and shoot, for some small prizes. And I think actually I won one year for that with my 54 caliber. But I think muzzleloading is cool. I like to shoot, target shooting and stuff like that. I have hunted a lot in my life, but I haven't in quite a few years. But I like target shooting. I like long range. I'd like to have a long range rifle target. Not modern. I'm not really talking about a modern thing necessarily, but something I could just get down behind and just practice on seeing how well I can shoot. I guess for lack of a better word, but before my eyes are completely gone. Okay. It is getting late. I suppose that what I probably should do is get ready to say goodbye. I've been on here a long time. I know football's already on, and the pregame shows are on. The team I'll be rooting for later hasn't started playing yet. They have a night game, which looks like will be clear and bright and probably a little cold in the stadium tonight. I think I saw it's supposed to get down about 46 in the morning. So tonight may be chilly in the football stadium. There's a lot of wind blows through that thing. Folks, I appreciate you being here. Next week, and I should have said this sooner, but next week I hope you all can join me, and hopefully a few others can, and meet someone very special to me. I won't say who, what, when, or where. Well, the where is here and the time is the same. If I can get it arranged, and if he's available, I'm going to have someone on very important to me, and I think you guys will get you'll get a lot out of it. I hope, and you can ask Phil questions from anybody that's in the room, and he has a wide range of interest and knowledge, and it's just one of the best guys in the whole wide world. And I'm really looking forward to getting him on the air. And he has been actually kind of catching up with me and what I've been doing, and watching a lot of my videos and team replay. And I hope he's going to be here next week. I will let you know. I'll post something I'll try to post my, once I know for sure, I'll try to post my what is it even called? My shot, anyway, to advertise my show. And no, you're quite all right, Kay. I'm actually getting ready to start closing up. So, but I'm glad you made it. And I didn't know you were fostering kittens. That's cool. Are you having to hand feed them all? I won't go. I gotta stop. I gotta stop talking. I said I was going to shut down, so I'm going to. Yeah, send us some pictures on Instagram, Kay. I'd like to see them. I like kittens. I wish they wouldn't grow up. All right, Don, you take care. John, thanks for being here, buddy. We'll talk again soon. Sorry I didn't get with you this week. We'll definitely talk this coming week one day. Just let me know. I don't have any. Well, I may have some therapy next week. I think it's Wednesday and Friday at 10 o'clock. But if you're available any of those days after that time, after noon or something, I'll probably be around. We can talk. Thumbnail, okay? Thank you very much. So I'll get my thumbnail made. I don't know if you guys can see that. I don't know how. I guess you have to go to my YouTube page or something, but I'll put it on there and I'll have some announcements on that. But hopefully I'll have all that set up by midweek, and cross your fingers. I'm hoping I can get it set up, and I think it'll be a good show. So I look forward to that, and we'll chase a few rabbits next week, folks. So it's time to call the beagles in, and let's get on the road. We got to get back home before it gets dark. See you guys all next week, I hope. And like I said, tell your friends, special guest next week on the Bear Show. It should be really good. Bye-bye.